Hello everyone and welcome back into Below Par. Today we are comparing the old versus the new. Let's see how we get on. First of all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please do press that subscribe button. It really does help us out, and follow the journey. We are building a really nice community now. We're starting to get a few comments on our Instagram. All links will be down below, and hopefully you enjoy the video. This should be an interesting one. So you will have seen in the thumbnail that I'm testing today the FT9 Tour, the neutral version, with a stiff shaft down this hole here at the Berkshire Golf Club. So this driver was brought out in 2009 in February. So we're just clocked over the 10-year mark for this driver. Now, I think this looks really, really good. And it's actually aged very, very well. I'll show you some more close-ups now down the line. So if you were to address the ball, really, really good, isn't it? It's a really nice clean shape. If we compare that now to the Maverick, you'll all be familiar with the Maverick down the line. Actually, to be honest, the shape isn't too dissimilar, is it? Let's bring them both together. Maybe a little bit longer in the head on the FT9, the older version, but actually there's not too many differences there. Let's bring them side to side. So I've got the Sub-Zero version on this one. The Tour would be the lower spinning version, and the FT9 as well. So these are the most comparable drivers that I could find. This one is obviously mine versus one that we had in the pro shop. So this will be a really interesting test to see what the performance differences are, the characteristics and the technology that has changed in the feel. So we're going to go and play a few holes, hit some tee shots on some driver holes, and see what the performance difference is. I'm under no illusions that my new one should go a heck of a lot further, as it's fitted and suited to me, and the technology should have come on. But this is the real test here. Does the old one keep up? So I've got my marker pen. I'm going to put on this golf ball. These are the two golf balls that I found that were the same and brand new. Nice fair test. Hopefully the wind isn't too much for you here. Let's go. Oh, slipped. Old. Looks like did, doesn't it? Or 010. Anyway, there we are. There's the old. And then we have the new. Oh, man, this is hard doing it the other side of the camera. And new. There we go. Let's put that down there with the other one. So, let's get going. So I've got my 010, otherwise known as the old golf ball. Try and hit these at the same tempo as I would on any other round of golf, and see what the performance differences are as it starts to rain. I always come out in the evenings and start to film, and it always starts to rain. Maybe that's telling me something. Commitment. Drop a like. So let's get going. Let's hurry this round of golf up, because I have a feeling I might get a little bit wet. So here we go, first test. First impressions in behind the golf ball. Doesn't look like it's aged all that much. Wow, okay, that's done very nicely. So onto the new, my Maverick in hand. So I'm going to try and hit the same sort of shape, same sort of tempo. Luckily that first one went on the fairway, so hopefully this one will follow suit. Didn't catch that one all that well, it was a little bit high up the face. Let's go and see the results and have a chat about them and move on to the next. So you'll see we've got one golf ball just missed the fairway to the right here, one over to the left. I think I know what might have happened here, you know. Let's look down here. New driver, Maverick. We know the strike wasn't all that great. And then a couple of yards up, which was a much better strike, I must say, we have, if we can see it on there, our 010, otherwise known as old. So pretty good tee shots. I'd be happy with those in any round of golf. But Interestingly, the old boy has done the new one. So the old driver is 1-0 up in this battle. Like I said, didn't strike my new one particularly well, but I think the one thing that shines through, and from those close-ups you've seen earlier in the video, this FT9, despite it being the Tour version, it's actually very, very forgiving. Normally you associate the Tour versions now with really low spin and trying to create as much distance as possible, with also trying to create some forgiveness in there, but forgiveness, generally speaking, is sacrificed in those situations with those models of driver. So really interesting to see the result on this first run. Let's give it another few holes and see what the results say. So we've made it to the 9th hole on the red course at the Berkshire now. 1-0 to the older driver. Big surprise, but actually having hit a shot with it now, we can hit a few more. The forgiveness on this is really, really fantastic, and it obviously travels, because on the previous hole that I played, I've hopped over from the 4th to the 9th. It's really travelled. So let's see how we go on this one. Should we change the order around? Yeah, let's hit the Maverick first. So let's hope we can get 2 good ones going down there and have a really good test. On that last one, the strikes were a little bit iffy. That was lucky, didn't even check the golf ball, but it was right. Okay there. Aim it down the left, try and keep it there. Right, there we go. So that is my Sunday best. This will be a really, really good test to see if the FT9 does keep up. Let's try and match the same sort of strike on this one as to what I just did with the Maverick. So aim it down the left and try and hit the same sort of swing. Okay, that was pretty good as well. A little bit high to the right. Shaft may be a factor in that, but it's on the fairway nevertheless. So let's go and see where they've ended up. So we've made it down to the golf balls then. Middle of the fairway with the new driver. And you'll see back there, poor old driver there. So now that I've got a couple of really, really good strikes on these, let's pan round the hole up towards the green. Look at that, right on the split of the fairway. When I strike this driver out of the centre, it really does travel a considerable amount more distance. I think the main thing that I've identified so far is something very, very simple. The technology has clearly moved on. I'm really, really impressed with the forgiveness that the FT9 does give me. Even being 10 years old, the forgiveness is absolutely there and the performance is there. But the biggest difference is the way that it feels off the face. You can feel the forgiveness. I didn't quite get that as well as I'd like to, the one that's not quite kept up there, but it just doesn't quite pop for me. On the Maverick, now that I've struck that out the middle of the club face, you can really feel that pop. So we find ourselves on another par 5. We've got both golf balls retrieved from the previous fairway, which is great. And what I was saying on the previous fairway, I've been reflecting on that on the way to this hole, and I think the main thing with this FT9 is it's absolutely fantastic and it has aged very, very well. I think the main point that I'm trying to make here with this older driver is it feels the same out of the middle of the club face than what it was out the toe or the heel, which is a really good thing in the fact that it's forgiving, and I've actually hit 2 fairways out of 2 so far with this, but it just doesn't feel like you get enough out of the middle now. With the technology built into the Maverick, as I keep saying in this video, I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, technology has clearly moved on and there's a much bigger, the best way to describe it is a pop off of the club face. Yes, your off-centre hits, you are being fed back your off-centre hits much more than you would be with this one, but I would prefer that. I'd much rather get the feedback from when I've hit it out the middle, from the toe to the heel, whatever it might be. You'll see that the way that my weights are positioned on my driver, so hopefully the camera focused nicely on that. The weight actually is at the back of this driver for me. It just helps me with forgiveness, for one. As soon as you bring that weight too far forwards in the face, for me, I start to hit the golf ball a little bit wayward. I might sacrifice a little bit of yardage, but I'd rather hit more fairways and sacrifice roughly 5 yards than I would be 5 yards further up and risk being off the fairway. Especially at a wonderful place, I must add, like this, where there's heather surrounding the fairways. Now, heather is not a place you want to be. But let's get on to this test. What did we hit first? We hit the Maverick first last, didn't we? So let's get that out of the way. Let's hit the FT9. Hopefully we can get a nice clean strike. We're going to get our... The handwriting is atrocious, isn't it? Right. So I'm going to aim it down the middle. Same swings. Let's try and find the middle of the club face on both of these drives. Okay, so that's the best one of the day with this one, and I felt a little bit more of a pop. It's typical, I comment on something that I feel is the correct statement, then I prove myself wrong with the next strike. So it's there, not quite as poppy as the one that I nailed on the last with my Maverick, but it is there, it is there. Okay, let's try and match that same strike and same ball flight with the Maverick then. Same line, same swing. You can see it in the ball speed with this one. That's one thing I noticed there. I turned it over a fraction, it's just probably in the left rough, but you can really notice the ball speed on this one. You really can feel that pop. Despite the fact that the FT9 did perform nicely there, the Maverick is performing better, I can tell. But I think the main question that we need to ask ourselves in this video is, if you've got a 10-year-old driver, is it worth updating? I think the answer is probably yes. But if you are thinking of updating, going for a new model, always get it custom fitted, specific to you. Because the reason this is outperforming the other one by so much, like on the last hole, is because it is custom fitted for me. Maybe if I put the same shaft in this old head, it might have kept up a little bit more, but you can really, really feel the main differences in the head here. And regardless of whether it's Callaway, any manufacturer will tell you that technology has moved on considerably since 2009, which it has, and I think we've put that to the test today and put it to bed. By clicking on this video, you would have probably known the answer already before even watching the video, but it was a really interesting test to do. Let's go and see the results, and we've got an exciting hole coming up next. Let's see if we can clear the ditch. So that's 3 out of 3 fairways with the old driver. See what I mean about the forgiveness? I've hit that my Sunday best, and I've got a really good opportunity to approach this par 5 and 2 now and start to think about a 3. So 3 out of 3 fairways is not bad. So this is what I'm saying, they're closer together than you might think, but another 20 yards on is my Maverick, but it is in the semi-rough. Although it's not far off, it still is in the semi-rough. I've missed 2 out of 3 fairways with this Maverick, so then you've got to ask the question, maybe I was wrong on the previous tee. So just wandering down towards my ball now, you can see the old driver there as we pan round the hole. Just over the path, just down the downslope here, you'll see the other golf ball. Now, yes, it's gone 20 yards further, which is fantastic, which for a lot of people you'll see another 20 yards on your drive will considerably lower your scores. If you're closer to the hole and able to keep it in play every time, although I'm off the fairway, it's not all that far off the fairway. If you're able to put 20 yards on your drive, I would be very, very confident in saying that you're going to be a golfer that's lowering your scores. What a lovely hole, by the way. So I think the main point that I'm trying to make here is test it for yourself. This is just an interesting test for me to do today to see how much I've gained by putting my new driver in the bag versus what a 10-year-old driver will perform like. It's going considerably further, but actually I've hit a lot of fairways with that old one. So it's up to you, it's up to what your preferences are. Although I've missed the fairway, like I said on that previous clip, it's not by much. I would much rather gain that 20 yards because at the level of golf I play, which isn't fantastic, but I'm under pressure to make birdies a lot. So that extra bit of yardage, that shorter club into the green is really going to benefit me. Is it going to benefit you at home? Maybe it will. And I would say it probably will. But fairways, if you're in the fairway, you're always in play. So here we are then, this is the moment of truth. This is the fourth and final hole that we're going to play this evening with these two drivers. They're 11 years apart. Do you know what? This 11-year-old driver has done very, very well. Let me know in the comments what you think and how old is your driver? That's a really, really key question to ask. I'm really interested to find out. Let me know in the comments, how old is your driver? Are you playing a really new driver like me? Or are you holding on to one that's really worked for you over the years? So we're going to use the Maverick first. Let's get the correct golf ball in play. Let me just confirm the carry on the ditch. So the ditch sort of sits on a side angle. So as we look at it, on the left-hand side of the fairway, the ditch is closer to us and it gets further away and angles across the width of the fairway. So actually on the right-hand side, I've got to carry this 268 yards, which is a big old hit. Luckily, it's fractionally downwind and fractionally downhill. Let's see how we get on and see how the old one fares. Let's see if we can get anywhere near. Okay, so Maverick first. I'd like to think I'd be able to do this, but is the forgiveness of my new driver enough for when I try and hit it that extra little bit? And if the strike isn't quite right, is it going to help me? I'm going to aim it left half and give it a hit. Launched it high downwind. Don't know what the result's going to be like. That'll be an interesting one. I think it's touch and go. Down the right hand side it's a bigger carry, which is where it went. A little bit of a push. Let's see how the 11-year-old driver gets on. So here we go then. The FT9 Tour. Let's see if we can get another one out of the middle of the club face. See if we can get anywhere near that ditch. And let's see what the performance is really like. So that couldn't have been hit any better. Again, touch and go. It may be a little bit short, just rolling up towards it, but it's not a bad whack. Don't know what happened to my voice there. So would you believe it? It's another fairway for the old driver. This just goes to show the forgiveness is absolutely there. I know I keep reiterating this point, but the forgiveness is absolutely there. The performance isn't quite there in terms of distance and the pop off the club face, so there definitely is more distance to be had. We have obviously sacrificed some distance because we are at the left half of the fairway here. We haven't quite got to the ditch, so I have considerably sacrificed some distance, but you'll see here, hopefully, the 101, otherwise known as, well, it should be the old. Don't know if anyone can read that as old. Awful writing. Anyway, there we are. So let's have a little pan round. So you know where the old driver ended up, just short of the ditch in front of me here. You'll see my new driver made it over the ditch, and actually the slightly longer carry up the right hand side, like I said on the tee there. So the performance is there, and actually that one's on the fairway. So let's do a bit of a summary. Let's go over to that golf ball and do a bit of a summary. So here we are then. There's every chance I got a little bit lucky with the hazard in front of me here. That may well have been a friendly bounce, but you can see I've hit those both pretty well. Actually the Maverick not quite as well, but I've still managed to get it past the hazard. Ordinarily on this hole I would be taking the hazard out of play and laying up and playing my second shot through to the green. Now that will feature, probably this hole will feature on a later video talking about course management. But to summarise then about these two drivers, let me grab them. To summarise, custom fitting is always the option, but the performance of this FT9 today has been absolutely fantastic. It hasn't missed a fairway. I haven't hit it anywhere near as long as I would normally expect to, but the forgiveness across the face has been absolutely brilliant. I've missed a couple of fairways with the Maverick, but not by a long way, and it has outperformed it well, 3 out of 4 times. And that first one really was a horrible strike. Technology has moved on. Forgiveness was definitely built into this FT9 and performance. The only thing I would say is, like I said on the third hole that we played, across the face it feels pretty similar. Apart from that one that was dead out the middle, it feels like there's no pop regardless of where you hit it on the club face. But with the Maverick out the middle of the club face, you do get that performance. So I would encourage anyone, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Maverick, go and see your local pro. If you're local to the Berkshire area, come and see me. We've got all the top brands and we'll be able to tell you whether, get bitten. I think in conclusion, go and see your local fitter and have a try for yourself. The proof will be in the pudding. For me, I get considerably more distance with a newer model and one that's fitted for me. I think that was a pretty obvious answer from the outset. But I was really pleasantly surprised with this 11-year-old driver of how forgiving it is, but just didn't quite get that wow factor from it. So, fantastic technology increase. Out the middle of the club face, this driver goes absolutely miles. And you'd have seen it maybe in a previous episode. If you're a new viewer, go and check out our other stuff. Go and get yourself custom fitted. New driver wins for me, but I have a feeling a few of you might disagree, bearing in mind this driver did not miss a fairway the whole way round. It's all down to what your personal preference is, and it's done really well. Fair play, old mate. Guys, really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, please do press the like button. If you have any suggestions on what you think might be able to keep up distance-wise from the older models, drop it in the comments. I'll try and get hold of one and compare it to my driver, see if it can keep up. But like we say, this is done very, very well today. Go and get yourself custom fitted. Proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see you in the next one.